We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody, already in progress.
Okay,
Okay,
we're back,
we are back.
but it's
And
just two of us.
just the two, yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Did
we took,
we?
go ahead.
I said, did we get a viewership bump with the famous Pat Kelly on last week?
I didn't even look at that.
We got a slight bump on YouTube videos, so I don't know if he's just showing it to his grandchildren, making them watch them.
Well, we pushed it in the local vibe, the local scene down there in
Uh-huh.
Orlando. Yeah, it looks like July 31st. Oh, no. How do I
Well,
change
before we forget, that's why we have 32 teeth.
the 32 teeth thing?
Yeah, that's why there's 32, not 37 or 38 or 31 or any other number for that matter.
All I know about the teeth thing is elephants apparently would never die if it weren't for their teeth. The the teeth get ground down to nothing. And my understanding is that elephant dies because he starves to death. Can't eat anymore.
But that kind of goes against the long in a tooth uh, saying.
I don't think that applies to
He's
elephants.
short in a tooth, is what they would say to an elephant. How are you going to
Alexa,
ask her?
Alexa, are elephants prone to die? No, gosh.
See what she answers.
Well,
From chess.com, elephants continue to face the threat of extinction due to poaching and habitat loss.
okay. She's on a delayed response for some reason. Alexa, do elephants suffer from ground teeth?
From senescence.info, elephants are long-lived mammals but suffer from teeth erosion as a type of mechanical senescence despite having as much as 6 sets of molars in a lifetime.
We're getting there. I don't know. 6
I don't
sets of
know. Don't they?
molars.
Aren't they? They're herbivores, aren't they?
Herbivores?
Yeah.
I mean, they eat plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not
Any
carnivores.
teeth for that? You can gnaw on a leaf.
No, like so they're probably chewing on a piece of bark or something and it's got dirt, I'm sure they're not brushing their teeth every day before they go to bed.
That's scintillating stuff you've brought to the show,
Well,
Dave.
and they spot, they trunk. Okay. I'm sure we're back. They're like, "Oh God, we didn't miss this, guys." All right, so we took a week off, right?
And by accident, mostly.
What happened? We
You.
had to. We had. I know it's my fault. I think we had the big star, Pat Kelly. Thank you, by the way, Pat. If you're, I know you're
Yeah, I
listening
appreciate
because
that.
your life.
Yeah. He's probably
Yeah.
not listening now.
Well, he's probably got a dog now. He probably doesn't have to listen now. He's got something to play with. River. What do you think about that name, Woody? River.
One of my children's friends' name is Rivers. Rivers.
The
So
the kid or the dog?
the kid.
River Phoenix?
Well, I get there's another famous river. So
I guess it's okay. I'm not going to bash
yeah,
it.
everywhere I hear pet names are cool. I don't know. Some stand out to me. Like a friend of ours' dog's name is Diesel. I thought that was a good name.
Is it a Chihuahua?
No,
A big pit bull or something?
I think it was a corgi as well. That's why.
See, that's wrong.
Why? What's wrong with Diesel, man? That's a cool
You
name.
can't be a corgi and be a diesel. That's like a
And
EV.
as a child, my friend had a cat named Herkimer, and I've always used that name as a fake name throughout my life.
Excuse me, sir. What was your name? Herkimer?
Herkimer Williams.
What is Herkimer?
It was a cat at the time, but
Is it something just made up? Is it a name? A real
yeah,
thing?
I don't know where I was too young to really know why they came up. I have a special skill set, and is in that I can come up with a fake name. If throughout the show, just say fake name, and I'll come up with a fake name.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
All right. I mean, it's a skill I've adapted over the years. I've never been able to find any financial way to benefit from that.
So I'm back to school, by the way. I was
What are
on
you
the way
learning?
to I was on the way to school this morning. Summer is almost over. We had so I know what we're going to talk about. So yesterday I was supposed to go back to school, teachers, teacher staff and teachers only, but we had a little bit of a storm here. Are you getting it now?
It's supposed to roll in tonight. It's starting to rain now, and the wind's starting to pick up. But I
She's a
think we're going to be
doozy.
fairly isolated from it.
Well, she's lazy, old Debbie. She's
Is
not,
she?
yeah, she's not interested in moving very fast. So, we get these things often down here, and people are like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to listen to it. And it's always the one, in my experience, the storm, well, I can't say always, but the storms that seem to get us are the ones they don't rise to the occasion of being a hurricane. And so this one played around as a tropical depression, was a tropical storm. Then it broke into hurricane definition is 70-mile-an-hour winds, I think, or
I think it's
75.
71 or 72 actually. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
just over, whatever. And so she never really, by the time she landed in Florida, it slowed her down again. But when the ones come out of the Gulf, it usually means they're going to dump a ton of water. And I don't know how we missed it, but we were just in the slot where the bands, the wind and the rain were hitting my daughter just north of us by 20 miles north. Okay. And so this thing was progressing northeast to cross. We were in that slot between my daughter's place and Orlando. And Orlando south to about Sarasota's got a ton of water. So when it spins, it would suck up the water out of the Gulf, come up over us. It didn't drop it, but it dropped it on the way back down toward and they were flooding down all the way down to Venice. It was bad down there. We've got
Everybody was hoping it was going to go west and hit Texas.
Yeah, I mean, let's do one for Texas. Why not?
Well, now then everybody could have said Debbie does Dallas.
That's actually kind of funny.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you think of that on your own?
Kind of, sort of. I heard someone else mention it
As a porn reference of the week. Is that what we're going to call that?
It's the only. I don't think I've ever seen that movie. Have you?
No.
Yeah. That means yes. Is what that means. Well, in today's. It doesn't quantify as that, does it?
No. Oh yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen it. Not because of any ill will towards the movie.
I don't think the cinematography is as good as it is today. I mean, I read a lot about it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, anyhow, so the storm came over. I don't know where you land on global warming and all that. We don't need to touch on that, but to your preparedness statement as far as storms go, I moved there in like mid 70s, and we did not have any kind of hurricane through the rest of the 70s, none in the 80s. And then was it 92 is when Andrew came?
Yeah, thereabouts.
91, 92, something like that.
I was down in South Florida.
Right. And that was the first time, and I was too. I was just north of Miami. And in fact, we were supposed to go down to Miami. My friend was supposed to go down to Miami. And I said, I got called into work because I was working in radio, and they're like, hey, we need to prepare for the storm. And I was still, 22, 23 years in Florida. I was like, don't worry about it. It's going to turn north like it does every year. I'll stay here for another couple hours till it turns north. You go to Miami. Little did I know I was sending them right to the heart of the storm. But so that apathy we had for storms is what really, and then, Andrew was just that category 4 or 5 storm, and it just caught everybody off guard. No one was preparing for that storm. Now that the storms are more frequent, like, once a year, once every other year, I feel not as many people are being lackadaisical about preparedness.
Well, in fact, it was August 16th through August 28th of 1992. How about that?
Yeah.
You've set up several truths where I live up in Northeast Florida, if you're familiar with hurricanes, they need hot water. And so our Gulf Stream goes right down along the coastline of Miami. In fact, at Deerfield Beach, I think it is, it's a mile off the coast. You could be in your condo and see the Gulf Stream. You can see the
Right.
deep blue water. But then it follows the bend around the state and it goes north toward North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina. And where I live, there's a concave shape in the state right at Jacksonville. And so it puts us further away, about 30, 40 miles away from the Gulf Stream. And so most of the time, what a storm will do is come in from the east, hit the Gulf Stream, and it'll get sucked into that hot water and turn right and turn north and follow up the Gulf Stream. So I think that's where, if I remember correctly, Andrew, they were anticipating that, oh, don't worry about it, it's going to turn. It's going to turn. And 90% of them do that. But I think what I've seen and learned since that one was if it's strong enough, it'll actually push through the Gulf Stream. And then if it's a big enough storm, carry across the state of Florida. And that's what Andrew did. So I was
Dave,
actually
the
down.
meteorologist, telling us why
Well,
hurricanes.
it was a special storm for me because we had just sold about $4 million worth of Meridian files to Burger King at the Burger King International headquarters in Homestead.
Oh,
And
okay.
actually had a classmate, Amy Lake, in case she's probably not listening, but Amy Lake and I went to school from the time we were probably kindergartners. And the only time we didn't spend together was at junior high, but then we got back together at Boone. She was a cheerleader. And she might have gone to UCF, but she was a Miami Dolphins cheerleader and she worked at Burger King.
Oh, okay.
And so it happens, whatever, serendipitously, I got a chance to, hey, wait a minute, I know you. And so she was a writer for Burger King at the time down in Homestead. Well, that storm, after a week after it hit, I was down there pushing those same filing cabinets off the floors into dumpsters, and we were doing insurance claims so we could sell them another $4 million worth of files.
Well, I was thinking they took what's the word? They took ownership of them, right? As soon as they hit the
Oh yeah, we
dock.
installed them,
Yeah.
and I didn't, but they were they paid for them installed, and
wow, so you made an $8 million sale.
Yeah, in fact, we exceeded our sales targets that year by
I wonder why.
And Michigan was like where they were made was in Western Michigan, and they were like, so are there any more hurricanes coming around?
Yeah. Well, they know they're coming a lot more frequently. But
yeah, they became fair weather or storm weather friends. I don't know.
Yeah, because I like I said, the storm was supposed to hit where I was in West Palm originally. And
yeah, it wasn't supposed to beeline it in. It was supposed to kind of dogleg right a little bit.
Right. And I tell you, the funnest part of that whole storm for me was I was driving up and down I-95 at like, I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And there was absolutely nobody on the road. All the police were, I was doing 110, 120 miles an hour up I-95 because I'm like, hey, who's going to pull me over? Kind of thing. So,
well, we went back down in there. The architectural design community up north, up where I live now, we got Ryder trucks, and we did the whole thing with water, bottled water.
Yeah, and our radio station did too. We did a bunch of fundraisers and food trucks and things of that nature.
It was a disaster.
Yeah, because nothing was built to code the codes of today because again, everybody got even the code enforcers were lackadaisical about these storms aren't coming. So how can we enforce these codes?
I just think it was, obviously they survived however long they were down there, but they just Andrew was probably a world record setting whatever. But no, we do get complacent. And so Debbie, not a lot of damage, but anytime you get a lot of water, then what happens? Our soil, it does pretty well absorbing it, but it soaks the footing of the large live oak trees or large pine trees. And then it becomes, the wind starts to blow. And the next thing you know, you've got 7,500-year-old oak trees falling down on people's cars, and people get killed by those things.
I know I'm always just so sad when a tree crushes a car and someone dies. It's seems so random way to pass.
Yeah, I lived in Avondale, this part of Jacksonville, and those historic homes built at right at the turn of the century, 1900s, and gigantic, enormous, gigantic, big oak trees, big live oaks, and just beautiful mature oaks, and those suckers would fall over, and they'd kill somebody. I mean, you imagine that you're like everything's all fine and dandy in your front yard, and hey, honey, there's a big tree falling on you. But
We have a street like that here in Charlotte, in a very affluent area, and every once in a while, one of those trees falls over, or one of the giant limbs cracks and it falls on the top of a car. So
trees have feelings too. They like to get people back.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's the story. We survived with no damage. In fact,
I'm looking at your brick wall. The little piggy built a brick house, so that's probably why you survived.
yeah, and it's
It's odd you have a high-rise building in the background right next to your house, though, too.
Well, this is my and I'm in the city today.
Oh, I see.
I'm in my studio apartment in the city. Anyway, wouldn't that be a cool place though? I like that. This is kind of my shtick. This is the kind of place I'd like to have.
Really? Just like that? So minimal?
Yeah.
That's pretty boring.
I could smoke cigars right there.
Well, yeah, you could. I mean,
open that window.
that's why you got your own glassed-in office. Your wife puts you in there and you just smoke.
Just smoke it. All right, let's keep moving. What do you got, Woody?
Oh, you were Mr. I got so many things to talk about.
Well, I do have a lot of things. I feel like I'm hogging the show all the time.
Well, it's fine. I feel fine. I would like to get back and talk with the architectural community today. A few shows ago, a while back, I had my office bathroom rant, and I was really pushing for the courtesy flush.
Yeah.
Of all the things. Well, I've realized something in this new office I'm in, and it takes on a particular. It's a particular nuisance to me. In today's office environment, right? They have to have those light systems that automatically go out and back on. When they sense motion, they come on and then they go off.
Sure.
And that's great and all. I get it saves energy even with LED lights. I don't think it saves very much anymore, but I get the whole thing. And we all have to go through that nuisance of you're sitting in your office or your cube and all of a sudden all the lights go out because you haven't moved enough in the last 5 minutes or whatever the timer is. I'm still okay with that because there's windows to give you ambient lighting in the place. Well, somehow, and then we've all fallen victim to the. So here's my victim. If you're sitting in the bathroom, say, and all of a sudden the lights go out, right? When you're sitting on the head and the lights go out, you're like, they don't put the sensor anywhere within reason. So there's two things. One, a person walks in and they're like, oh, no one's in here. And all of a sudden the light comes on and they're like, hello.
Thanks for rescuing me.
And there's no if the lights go out, there's always that fire light that goes on in the area. But my biggest beef with my latest office is that of course, the bathroom's the only room without any kind of ambient light in it from the windows, right? It's in the middle of the office. It's dark. The damn sensor doesn't work until you're like 5 steps in the room and the door shuts behind you. And so you're walking blind for the first couple feet when you're coming in there. If you're in a hurry.
You got to do the George Costanza Vandelay Industries when he's put his pants down around his ankles trying to get out the stall
and answer the phone.
Well, I mean, that's your option, right? You got to stand up, take the chance that no one's going to come in on you, and then waddle out to the where the sensor is.
You're waving your arm.
And you're standing around with your pants down, and someone walks in and goes, "What are you doing, sir?" I was trying to turn the light on.
Can we not have like a door sensor when the door's locked? When the stall door's locked, the lights stay on, or something of that magnitude. So we stop playing this game in the bathroom where you're. At my last office, you'd be at the urinal, the damn lights would turn off on you. in the middle of because I'm an older guy. My prostate doesn't work as well as a young man.
You
You know,
look, that's why. Yeah. Okay.
takes a little extra wiggle time to finish the
The deed.
the deed. Thank you. I couldn't come up with a polite word for that. So
So
do you agree?
I,
Disagree?
I feel I don't think I've ever had that happen. I don't work in an office, so I know
Well,
I
you're
can imagine it.
your school probably has auto lights, right? Or is it too old for
Nah,
that?
not this particular place. I'll bring that up at the next meeting. But I do have a funny bathroom story at the airport that was kind of comical.
Did you clog the toilet?
No, nothing like
Oh.
that. It was so.
I thought you were trying to one up
We'll
me.
talk about the trip in more detail. But we were on the way back from St. Louis, and I'm not complaining. My wife booked. Well, it was a consulted thing. She asked me about it, and I said yes. So we booked the first flight on the way to St. Louis, and we couldn't get a direct flight with Southwest, so we went through Nashville, and that leg we had to book it to the gate in Nashville. Funny story on the way up to Nashville. I saw two people that I two co-teachers of mine. They were on the plane going to a concert in Nashville, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
And so I saw them this morning. They were asking me about it. We got on at Nashville and rode out to St. Louis. On the way back, we take the 5 o'clock leaving St. Louis, and we had to return a car. But we'll talk
5
about that.
a.m.
5 a.m. Yeah,
Oof.
2 o'clock in the morning. We had a hotel right at the airport,
Oh, that
and
helps.
so we
That
jump on
buys
the
an hour.
yeah, we jump. It was all worth it in the end, but it sucked doing it in the beginning. We jump on the plane in St. Louis and fly to Dallas. I think it was Dallas Fort Worth. Yeah, because we didn't get out of it. It was Dallas Fort Worth. In St. Louis, we were on a different airport you were talking about. I don't know. I'm confused. But anyway, so I'm in Dallas Fort Worth, and we've got a fairly decent layover. So I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, take this time to do that. And the men's room closest to our gate, I thought was empty, but then I turned the corner and there's a line. And they got like 6 urinals and 3 stalls. And I don't know.
That's it?
Yeah, I don't. It seems like to me they would have done a little better job, but they had multiple bathrooms on the concourse, but this one was closest to the gate. Anyway, so
Did you go down and rate each one afterwards to see?
no, but so the
Okay.
line, I'm not in a rush, right? So, but this guy in front of me, he's got the little carry-on bag with the wheels. It's got the extender handle.
Yeah.
And he's he's like in his 30s probably. Well, he's got to go because he's kind of dancing, but his earbuds aren't in. You know what I mean? He's like, oh,
Yeah.
but he's trying to stay cool about it. And
It's doing a potty dance.
so the problem is these automatic flushes, in an effort to save water, back to your point, consciousness of the power supply. Well, this one's water conscious community. The problem is what I realize is as soon as you stand up to, facilitate your finishing process, it flushes.
Oh, yeah.
And so it sends a signal to the outside world that, hey, this guy's wrapping up, And so maybe you had tacos the night before. I don't know, but things aren't, you don't have quite the degree of separation that you had hoped for.
Well, especially if you're prepping, right? You're like, it's flushing. All right, I can get into my the on deck circle, so to speak.
Well, maybe we should dedicate another podcast to how that works. But anyway, so you're still tidying up, right? Well, I've been in there before. When you're traveling, you get the bubble gut when you travel sometimes.
Yes.
And then that's always fun to hear that going on. Well, so the guy in front of me, the point of the story is he's getting a little anxious because he's heard somebody flush, and he's thinking, okay, I'm at the starting gate, I can get ready to go. And then the guy flushes again. And clearly he's had.
Well, but the guy was doing a courtesy flush, like I tell everybody to do.
Well, I think he had tacos the night before. He had some sort of greasy travel food. And so I think he went on for 3 or 4 flushes. And the guy looks at me and I want to say, I don't have any answers. And so I looked right at him. I said the S word. Can we say that on here?
Sure.
I said, I guess you can shit in the urinal. I mean, and he looked at me like, is that an option? He didn't say that, but I'm like, I mean, you got to go, right? There's a couple of those open.
I will tell you the people that like to use the ass gaskets at the head. You
Ass
familiar with the
gasket.
ass gasket?
Casket?
Gasket.
Uh-oh.
Gasket. That's that
This
uh
the tissue that you pull down?
yeah that you put on the
Oh,
toilet
I hate
seat.
those people.
Well, so if you put that on the toilet seat and then you stand up to like take your pants down, well, the automatic flush sucks the gas gasket down the toilet.
I sat next to a guy this trip, and there those things were in there because I walked past his stall to
Yeah.
get in mine, but he was tearing pieces of tissue off. I can't
Oh,
stand those people that do
why?
that. Well, I mean,
To each his own.
I go in there and wipe it off. You know,
Do you spit shine it?
I give it a little buff. You know, I'm like, hey, I want to get this.
Bring out the
No,
shine.
I wipe it off, then I know it's suitable for sitting. I mean, really, are you going to get that anal about where you're going to sit your?
It's
All right,
probably
let's
the
not.
cleanest part of your body touching the toilet seat. I think the problem is people who don't pick up the toilet seat
That does annoy
prior.
me. Yeah, that
So
does annoy me when. Let's not get too far into this. But
yeah,
anyway, so that was my travel.
that was your whole trip.
No, we
The
had a great
toilet.
trip.
You just visited the toilets at the
No,
DFW.
we had an outstanding trip. My brother's youngest son, Josh, got married, and he's got three boys. One of them's married already, another one's single. Then now Josh got married, and they live in St. Louis. And we don't get out there. It's been 12 years since I've been to St. Louis to see them, my wife and I. And they have a lovely home that's got a big basement, and this was a big deal. All the family
Yeah.
was coming in from all over the place, and so they said you can have the basement. I don't know what they got a single unit air conditioner in the place. They needed a double zone, but I think there were racks of sides of beef hanging downstairs. It was so cold.
I thought you were going
Um,
to go the opposite way with the heat
no,
or something.
it was freezing. And these people that live in these climates where it's 80 degrees outside, and I don't know what they're paying on their AC bill, but anyway, so we were downstairs, had the whole place. I mean, it was like a 1,200 square foot apartment. It was nice.
Yeah. Did you ever go upstairs and visit with people? Or you just hang out
I
downstairs.
said, no, this is great. Why are we doing
Hey,
that?
we're on vacation.
I'll go up, get a couple snacks, and we'll be back.
Get a
No,
beer, make it like a tray of shit and go back downstairs.
hoagies. Well, see you Tuesday. No, they had a pool, and that's another thing, a pool in St. Louis, but whatever. It was just a great weekend. There was our message, our theme, Sheila and my theme was, "Hey, we're flexible. You don't need to wait on us. We'll help ourselves to the kitchen. We're flexible. Go do what you need to do. We're going to be okay." And so they just really absorbed it because they had the family coming in from other parts of St. Louis and stuff. And my brother and his wife's family, uh, there's a lot of them, first of all. And so they have to put the attention where the attention is needed. So you don't have to cater to us, is my point. And so we got a chance to chill. You would think it would be totally stressful, but we were
Well,
just chilling.
not for
So
the people that aren't paying. Why would it be stressful for you?
what do you mean paying?
Well, you're not paying for it or anything, so why would you be stressed?
No, I'm just saying you would think a lot of people coming to your,
Oh,
just traveling and a lot of people being around. I thought it would have been stressful, but it wasn't. Um, it was an all. So we went to this great. They had the rehearsal dinner, of course. The groom does,
right.
and so Frank and Julie got this place downtown St. Louis called the Tenderloin Room, and it's an old established steakhouse that's in an old hotel in the city. Ugh,
So your brother makes bank. That's what you're saying.
he does okay. Well, he's retired now. He's twice retired. He's State Department, and they do okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do okay.
Treating
They're all
a
right.
crowd of people to a steak dinner. Gotta be.
Um, yeah, it was. I had a beautiful pork chop. I don't do steak that much, but beautiful giant pork chop and a couple glasses of Cabernet. It was good. Good. I got to meet
Yeah.
some new people. The bride's family members from Texas. Um, That's always a challenge. You got to put on your A game when you go to places like that. You don't know anybody, and you're like,
Right.
do I really give a rat's? I'm never gonna see these people
You're not
again.
going to see him ever again, probably.
But I told Sheila, let's put on our A game for Frank and Julie and for the kids, and show out. So
Which part of Texas?
San Antonio. Yeah,
The Alamo.
remember it, buddy.
That's
It's
right.
a big contingency in San Antonio and a little town called Kingsland, Kingston.
Don't ring a bell.
I don't know. Anyway, so it was just a lovely weekend. And like I said, it's the first time Sheila and I have traveled by ourselves. I can't remember last time we did it. And we flew. We had great flight situations. It was early, but it was good.
No
And then
fights broke out.
No, I was impressed. U.S. Air.
That's
We flew U.S. Air, and they don't have the reverse seats anymore. I was really looking forward to those, but they don't do that anymore.
you flew what?
No, Southwest Air. Southwest Air. I don't know.
U.S. Air. What are you back?
Oh,
in the
I do have a
80s?
funny story. So remember I told you this is the first time I've flown in 20 years because once they started saying take your shoes off, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
And so my wife's going through we were early, so we're going through TSA, no problems. And I'm putting all the crap in the basket and emptying my pockets. And I'm standing in line. She's getting ready to go into the radar
Yeah.
thing. And this black lady comes up to me and she goes, "Sir, I'm sorry, are you 75 years or older?" And I'm looking at her like, "Are you just trying to be silly?" And I said, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Are you 75 years or older?" I'm like, "What the hell? Do I look like I'm 75?" And I go,
Yeah,
"No, I'm 75."
apparently.
And
Well,
she
it was
goes,
early, Dave. Probably had the bags under the eyes.
And then she goes, "Well, you got to take your shoes off." And I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot about that." I said, "That's the deal. If I said I was 75, I could keep them on." She goes, "Yeah, but we'd probably check your ID." And I'm like, "Okay." So I slipped off my shoes.
I do
whatever.
I am a recipient of TSA pre-check now, so no shoes will be leaving the soles of my feet.
Yeah, but what do you pay for that?
It's like $50 for 3 years or something. I would have done global entry, but
what she
you
said.
can't ever get an appointment. You got to wait like 6 months for that. So, because
Yeah, don't let her terrorist friends know about the subscription rate for the shoes. Come on. This
well,
whole
they do
thing
a
is
back,
a
they
scam.
do a background check
This
on
whole
you.
thing is a scam. I did, I told Sheila, I said, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna raise a stink. I'm just gonna be Mr. Compliant. I'm gonna
You're
be
bringing your A game, Dave.
I was smiley boy the whole way. I was like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread." Just sure. And then I told the guy, "I got a belt on," and he goes, "Well, can you undo it?" I'm like, "Sure. What's in it for me?"
Hey now.
And he was a big black fella, about my size. And I said, "Is this going to be good? Because I'm in for a good time." And he goes, "Come on, pal. It's early."
Yeah, you can't mess around with the.
Well,
You
I
picked
mean,
the
he was
wrong.
laughing.
I know, but so many of those uh, early on in the TSA thing in circa 2002 or 2003, whenever it came on board, one of the contractors that was working in my office, they fly back and forth every week, and he said he went to the airport and they hadn't started the shoe off thing yet, but he got in line and he goes, "Oh, we're going to have to ask you to remove your shoes." And he goes, as he's sitting down, he says, "I'm not sure if you want me to remove my shoes. My feet are known as weapons." And he goes, "I couldn't stop myself." I went, "Mass destruction." And the guy's like, "That's it." They pulled him out of the line and made him go through like a 20-minute.
Strip search. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
He
mind
goes,
the
"I
cattle
couldn't help
prod.
myself. I was 80% into set on saying those words before I realized who I was saying it to."
Wrong audience. Yeah, I have to give them credit. They were pretty quick. They got it done pretty fast. And I was, again, I made a little snide. I wasn't snide. I was being silly. He was cool about it.
Yeah.
But
I just don't like the people that take 22 minutes. They're not even prepared to put their stuff in the bin when they get up to the line.
I was good on that because I've done that before, a long time ago. But the shoe thing, I just totally forgot about.
Yeah, I do. And sometimes I'll have glasses on my head.
I
Up
take my
here, my
glasses
reading
off.
glasses, and I'll just forget they're even up there. And luckily, one time I did it. I was standing in line to go through the, after you put yourself in the bin, I was standing in my line to go through, waiting in line to go through the, whatever that thing is. It's not even a
X-ray.
metal detector anymore, whatever it is. Yeah. And the guy kept going, like the TSA guy kept pointing at my head. And I'm like, looking around like, what? Think about what? And then I reached up, I'm like, oh, shoot. And I said, thanks.
Oh,
So-
you couldn't have them in there because I had
Yeah,
mine
they're
on.
metal. So they'll go
Oh.
off or whatever. So I
Whatever.
guess if I could put them on my face and act like they were my regular glasses, but they were readers. So I just threw them on the next bin going through.
Well, that wasn't bad. I made a conscious decision. I swore to Sheila that I was going to be a good boy, and
Well, it does you no good.
no, I look,
And
you know,
you don't realize you're on federal. It's a federal crime at that point too.
no, I would have approached it from a total smart ass.
Right.
It's just an
I know what you're
annoyance.
saying. Yes, it is, but it's
So-
when they still do it at airports. It drives me crazy that when you drive up to pick people up, right at the arrivals section, there's at every airport there's police out there whistling, blowing their whistle, telling you to move. They don't even let you stop to pick people up. They're blowing their whistle as soon as the wheel hits 0 RPM. They're like, get moving, get moving. They want everybody to move. And so one time when we traveled, all the kids were below 10 years of age. What we would do is my wife would go to baggage claim, get the bags, and then wait just inside the exit door. I would go get the car, circle back around, and then she'd come out and whistle. So the guy, so I barely stopped to get, so she could come out. She sees me, she's coming out there, she's gathering up the 3 kids to come out. And the security guard starts blowing his whistle and yelling at me that I have to move. I said, I'm picking up I'm irate at this point. I'm like, I'm picking up my kids. He goes, you can't stop here. I said, why? And he goes, it's for the safety of the airport, for terrorism. I said, what's the difference me stopping here with a bomb and stopping in front of a
With a
20-story
bomb.
building?
What's the difference?
What's the difference? And the guy looks at me, he just turns around and walks the other way.
It's
I'm like,
I
I'm
got
not
a
near
trunk
the
full of
airplane.
fertilizer. Yeah.
I'm freaking in the airport. So anyhow, they're still doing that though. They still, we don't even go there. What we do is we circle up to departures, and that's where I pick everybody up now. It's on the departure side.
Well, I do have I don't know. I guess we're on the trip home. So it's Saturday night. We go to the wedding. Beautiful, beautiful service. The bride and groom, just incredible kids. Everybody looked great. They were good people and the whole deal. And then we went to this place called the Ninth Avenue Abbey. It's an old church down in a really cool area of St. Louis. And we had cocktails and, finger food out in the courtyard. And the bartenders made these, it was a taco bar. When you go to these new weddings,
Yeah, everything's a bar.
Yeah, I've had cheeseburgers before at a wedding, but this was the first taco bar. And it was, it wasn't like Taco Bell. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
But they had margaritas, mixed margaritas. And I don't think they were very strong. I couldn't tell if they were wine-based, but they were really good. And it hit the point. And so typically I won't drink because I was driving. But I don't know, I had 2 dozen of them. I couldn't even feel it. I mean,
Dude, that's why you get a room at the same hotel as the reception.
I know, but this wasn't a bad spot.
Oh, that's right. You stayed at your brother's house.
Yeah. So we had a couple cocktails, and then we had the taco bar, but we rented a car. And the idea was we would go ahead and load up at my brother's house that morning and go to the wedding, go to the reception. We stayed till 9:00, which is, 10:00 our time. And I looked at Sheila.
Thanks for
the
the time check there, Dave.
I said, Sheila, let's get out of here. And so we said our goodbyes, got everybody hugged up and just had a good time. And then we went to the Marriott Hotel down by the airport. And so I said, let's go ahead and get some gas in the car. We got to do that. And I want to go see where Enterprise is. Do we want to return it tonight and see if we can get a shuttle back to the airport, to the hotel? And I said, nah, screw it. We'll just do it in the morning. So we're going to have to get up at 2:00 in the morning. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock now. So I'm thinking 4 hours. And so I said, let's get this done. So we go back to the hotel. hit the, make sure we're all packed, get in the car the next morning, head down to Enterprise, get down to Enterprise, and there's nobody there. And it's 3:00.
I
And we
was
got to
say
get,
Enterprise doesn't keep the 24 hours like
yeah.
most of them
So
do.
we pull up and it says till midnight. Now, if we'd have done the night before, we would have been there. And I don't know how we got back to the hotel. I guess they could have taken us back and we could have taken a shuttle from the airport,
Right.
whatever, but we didn't do it. And so I'm eating a snack bar because I'm on this program. And she's like, "Oh my God, Dave, what are we going to do?" And so I'm like, just calm down. I got this new outlook on things. I just relax. I'm not going to get spun up over. Let's think about this for a second. We can't be the only people in the community that's taking a 5:00 flight, right? I mean, it's impossible. And we're not the only people that have rented a car from Enterprise that has a 5:00 flight. There's got to be something going on here. So I'm just quietly thinking, and she's kind of frantic. And so she calls the 800 number and, "Oh, we're closed. Screw you. You're screwed. We're closed."
Oh, really?
And so I start to pull away. And she goes, "Wait a minute." And I go, "What's going on?" She goes, "There's a different phone number on the door." So she calls the local branch right there. And then the recording comes on. "Hey, listen, by the way, if you're returning your car after midnight, National Alamo, just down the
Oh,
street." So I get down to National Alamo. I go, "Who owns you guys?" She goes, "Enterprise."
yeah.
I was like, "You could have put something on the door down there or something. That would have been nice." And she goes, "Oh no, we get that all the time. Ha ha ha."
Yeah. Don't you love that answer? We get that all the time. Well, then do something about it.
So it all worked. I got out of the car, kicked it, and then gave her the keys.
Stabbed a
was-
tire.
Got in the van and ran over to the thing. Now, I want to say one thing about our travel to Southwest Air in Jacksonville. Now, it turns out Jacksonville, I'm going to throw ourselves under the bus. We're a bunch of idiots. Jacksonville is becoming a city of Karens. I'm afraid to say this because everyone else in St. Louis, Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth were just salt of the earth people. But as soon as on the way out of Jacksonville, the gate guy, that's
Yeah.
making the announcements, and you've flown Southwest, we got to line up
Yeah.
in that queue, and I'm like,
Not for much longer, but yeah.
well, it's like herding cattle the whole time.
Yes.
That point of the morning, I was in there going, like that, and Sheila was like punching me, And so the guy at the gate in Jacksonville on our way out, what a prick, man. He was like, "Hey, listen, if you got over 2 bags, you better start right now consolidating them because it's against FAA rule." He was just laying into people about how
He
stupid
must
we
have been
were.
tired.
Oh, it was the first flight. I'm like, how bad can it be? And he was a total, this. I'm
Yeah.
like, this guy took master's classes in customer service. What a prick,
Yeah.
But to his credit, remember my conversation a couple of weeks ago about certain people shouldn't be traveling?
Yes.
Well, they live in Jacksonville.
Because they all
So-
had 3 bags.
Oh, God, it was ridiculous. And I'm like, if this is
Oh,
going to
is
go on
this a bag? And they hold up a suitcase. And you're like,
Yeah,
yes.
no, yeah,
That's
and then
not a
for people-
carry-on.
The strollers were showing up, like the 6 wide strollers. I'm like, oh, that's not going to make it there, lady. You're going to have to check that thing. I'd check the kids if I were you. But anyway, so Jacksonville is
cheaper.
a bunch of numbnuts. But Nashville, the people were just sweet. And Dallas, Fort Worth, and St. Louis, they were just super salt of the earth people. But the people come when we get back, and when you get back off the plane in Jacksonville, what's that thing called? You're coming off the plane, the gangway.
Jetway.
The jetway. They're like running. It's like NASCAR. I remember when you'd land in a flight, everybody would stand up and everybody would start grabbing the overhead containers and start
Yeah.
pulling stuff down and trying to muscle their way to the front. Well, Southwest, the stewards start letting the people in the front rows go first.
Oh,
And
so
they-
they actually traffic police getting off the plane.
they
Wow.
monitor, and so it's next row, next row,
Okay.
next row. Well, we got to Jacksonville, and it was like man, woman, and child for yourself. It was like,
really? I hate
and
that.
so this lady is standing behind me, and there's a gap, between me and the guy ahead of us, but nobody's leaving. It's like,
Right. Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
yeah, it's like 3 people gap in front of me.
right.
And so how you can feel people on you.
Yes.
So I
yes.
turn around slightly, and she's got a backpack. That's all she's got. She didn't have a carry-on from over the top. And she gives me this look like, "Are you going to get out of the way, fat boy, so I can get around you?" And I just looked at her and I said, "Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? Look at all these people just standing up there in front of us." And she looked at me like she was going to punch me. And I said, nah. So I just eased right out into the aisle a little bit more. I said, you're going nowhere, sister.
Well, remember that the time I flew back from Orlando, that autistic guy was in the row, and one of those ladies went by him. He's like, "Oh, sure, everybody, no one else wants to get off the plane."
Yeah, I needed Tourette's. That'd have been perfect. but Jacksonville was not pleasant. So I don't know.
I don't think I've ever. Nah, I've had to fly in. I've flown in and out of Jacksonville and back in my early days, but I've flown through it as well. But I
don't know
remember it all that
Why
well.
would you fly through it unless you were coming from Miami or something?
Because remember the days of People's Express, the early.
Oh God, yeah, that's how I got.
Yeah,
beaten.
what they would do is they'd hit every. So my dad lived in Washington D.C. and I lived in Daytona. So they'd buy me a ticket on like People's Express or whatever, and it would hit Piedmont Airlines. It hit 5 or 6 airports on the way between Daytona and DC. We'd go Jacksonville, Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, DC.
Yeah.
So that was before the age of hub and spoke.
I have to give the trip, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 9.5. But the Jacksonville Travelers, I give them a 4.
Well, maybe you should get, instead of maybe expand your boardship and get on the tourism board of Jacksonville.
The problem is we got a lot of people here that aren't from here. A lot of people.
You're almost old enough to be a volunteer at the airport now.
I don't think they would take me. I wouldn't last very long.
Mr. Theus, can we have a word with you? The idea is to help people.
They'd be carrying me off with handcuffs behind my back. This is my first day on the job. I don't even work here.
You realize we don't pay you.
I'm taking care of business. DCOB.
Well, is there anything you want to get on, because we're within about 10 minutes till the end, and it's now. Hear me out here, Dave. I don't want you to get any idea. It's pillow fluffing night here at the Woody household. I didn't want you to get any misunderstanding.
So are y'all a down? Do you have my pillows or down filled?
Down pillows, and yes, so they have to be periodically reinvigorated.
I don't like those pillows at the hotels. They use those. I understand the revigoration process because they get malshaped and stuff.
Yeah. My grandmother, the one who lived in California, had the real down pillows, and I couldn't stand them because the freaking thing would come through. Sometimes
the quill. Yeah.
The quill would poke you right in the face in the middle of the night. You're like, what the hell is that? She had them forever. And you could pull out the feather, and poke you, and you pull it out. By the time you get up in the morning, you got a bird's worth of feathers lying on the.
I want to die in a bed that's got them. And so when they remove my body, don't ever touch the bed. They go, that's where he laid last, because they'll have the same shape of my head and stuff.
Nice.
I don't know. It's terrible. I don't have much more. I was going to talk about the stock market crash. It's been called the Kamala crash, but it's not only her fault.
Like she had anything to do with it.
Well, to your point, I think it's going to be.
The mere announcement of her running for president sent the 2 weeks later market into a tailspin.
So let's talk about the reality of it. There is uncertainty in the marketplace, and I'll give you how we can tie it to Kamala. She came out historically as someone who, if she were president, she would raise capital gains taxes. I hate to say this, but the Democratic platform is about Keynesian economics. That means government spending. So the way you get government spending is you print it or you raise taxes. And so
you don't want to print it because that's inflationary, but
so is taxes. But anyway, so ultimately the government's going to turn around and spend it. That's what causes the inflation. But she said we're going to raise capital gains. The stock market does not like that. She said that we're going to get into more government spending. That's not a big thing for the market. They don't like that necessarily. So there's uncertainty in the marketplace now that we've shifted from a Biden policy that we felt like we understood, and now the market's trying to figure. I don't think they priced it all in yet, and now she
In
just
most
picked it.
election years, there is this
Yeah, there's a
phenomenon.
little uncertainty that goes
Right.
along with it. And then I don't know if you knew this, but Japan, it's funny. I was in St. Louis, and so I told you about that. They have a pool. I would get up and have my protein shake in the morning by the pool. They have a dog. We'd have to talk and stuff. And I have my coffee. It was a very lovely weekend. So I'm having my coffee poolside, and I've got my phone. And I'm reading the markets. And so Japan, they're hurting in Japan.
Yes.
So is Europe for that matter. And so their currency is being devalued, and it's been so strongly tied to the American dollar. And so they feel like they've got to divest themselves of the dollar. So they sold like $84 trillion of US treasuries like 2 days before the crash, and I'm like, this can't be a good idea. I mean, this doesn't feel right. Something's wrong with these guys just dumping $84 trillion on the market.
Especially in a losing effort, right? I mean, they're just getting rid of it because it's a lost cause. It's not for profit, right?
I don't want to speak too much on public radio here and sound like a buffoon. Before I usually talk about these sort of things, I like to kind of think them through and process them. But Japan is in a tailspin of their markets and their economy, and part of it is probably politically driven. The people probably are not happy with being so shored up by the dollar, because the dollar's not as strong as it used to be, obviously. And so I need to do some more processing of that to make any heads or tails of it. But they dumped, like, I think it was 18 or 54 trillion or some god awful amount of treasuries on the market to get out of them. So that happened. And then I know Europe's in the same boat. So there's some tremendous uncertainty in the marketplace with the economy because of inflation. It's not only happening here, it's happening in other parts of the world. And this administration currently is much to do for that. I mean, because of the government spending they did. But they're, not to blame it all on Kamala, but she just happens to be the recipient.
Well, whenever you're the quarterback, you're blamed win or lose.
Well,
right?
I mean, she deserves a lot of the fault.
I wouldn't go that far.
The administration.
I wouldn't even go that far.
No, let me finish the sentence. The administration sets financial policy, and the policy ultimately is the thing that wrecks the markets.
But wasn't part of this the Federal Reserve's decision on interest rates?
Well, that's the other part of the uncertainty is I think the Fed should shut up and quit talking about the rate move they're going to do. And so I don't think they should adjust the rate, even though I'm not a big fan of the Fed, because what they're talking about doing is making it less expensive to lower the rate. And then there's going to be more cash on the street. And so I think the markets are like energized by that, because the lower the rate, that means more people will be buying. So it's just fundamentally heads or tails. It just doesn't make any sense. And so people are screwed up. And to add insult to that, we made a lot of profits. There were some false jacked up profits that were made over the last couple of years, especially in the tech stocks. And, it was time for people to sell off. They took profits.
Like the late 90s.
I almost sold off last week, but I'm not in tech. I'm in industrials. I haven't lost that much. It went down $600 at the crash, which proportionally it's about 30%, 25, 30%, but I'm still in the money. And today it went back up over $5,000. So I'm still almost $600.
So Dave's
profit.
still liquid. The rest of the world can suffer, but Dave's doing just fine.
Oh, because the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. That's my motto.
Yeah. Let's make the rules for the rich.
Who are the little guys? I don't care.
Right. Exactly. Oh, wait a second. I'm a little guy.
So it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to, and I was like, I called that. I called that too. And, so
I'm already seeing the headlines. I always laugh when the market crashes, because all of a sudden there'll be these stories. Man who predicted last crash. Yeah. If you say the market's going to crash every single day for 10 years, you're going to be right 3 or 4 times. All right.
At least once out of 365. I thought it was interesting how they always say, like, Bezos, Elon, and what's the guy from Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, they lost like
Yeah,
$400 billion
silly.
dollars, but they didn't lose anything. Only on paper. I mean, I don't think
Right.
they were cashing out.
Buffett's the other one they always put
Well,
in there.
Warren Buffett apparently, the hindsight's 2020. They were all reporting that he's moving out of Apple. Weeks before he
No,
was
no, no,
making
no.
certain
He was
strategic
going
moves.
in.
No,
He was
he's
still
getting
buying.
out.
No,
The tech stuff got clobbered.
he was going in deeper as of 3 weeks ago.
He did have a quote that I pushed into Twitter. It says, "Listen, if you're worried about the Kamala crash, whatever we called it, then you shouldn't be in stocks." And he's right. Remember, I told you that it's like roulette. You got to have enough. You got to have enough so when you lose, it's okay. I mean, you'll come
Yeah.
back.
You also you have to be risk adverse if you want to really profit. in the
You got to
market.
be patient. I started looking at dumping a bunch of cash in, thinking eggs are on sale. Let's buy some more stuff. But then the stuff I'm in is not feeling the pain, and the upside for what I'm in is not crazy drastic. I'm not going to recover a bunch of money. So the other option is just sit still. So I chose to sit still. Yeah. So we're coming back.
I'm
It's
sitting
take
still.
the emotion out of the investing. That's the number one
I
thing.
just realized a
You didn't do the
major
word of the week.
problem. So you want to give to the rich and take from the poor, right?
No, that would
That's
be Robin Hood.
You're quite a vouchsafe.
A voucher?
Vouchsafe.
Is that a Russian term?
No, Middle English, 15th century. I had to squeeze. I forgot all about the words of the week, man. Vouchsafe.
Vouchsafe?
Vouchsafe.
Alexa, define vouchsafe.
The verb vouchsafe is usually defined as to grant or give, as by favor, graciousness, or condescension.
Mostly condescension.
Yeah, that's why I gave it to you.
Here, little person.
I had to shoehorn that one in. It wasn't quite elegant this week, folks. But at least you learned a new word before the end. And why don't we say goodbye on that note?
I think it's a grand idea. Graciously, we can be vouchsafed to one another. I don't think I used it the right way. All right.
No.
Well, listen, I'm glad we're back. I hope this
Yeah.
is an entertaining episode. But as always, we like to say, I'm Dave.
I'm Woody.
And you've listened to, what's the word I want to use? It wasn't titillating.
Vouchsafe?
No. Melodic? No. I'll have to come up with a different word on what type of episode it was. Heartwarming?
Great.
All right. You've listened to a great episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube because Woody's retirement is counting on it. And if you feel free to listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, we get paid more money if you listen on Spreaker, by the way. You know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Should I post them in Spreaker? Anyway, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So, adios, compadres. We'll see you next time.